How tall the truck was before I started. This is how tall the truck is after I started. No, I'm just kidding, man. Alright, they're both sitting right at 32, the front and the back.
This would be my Jeep with no idea what the hell's going to happen to it. Out here it's freaking cold. It's only about an hour left of daylight left to go, so I'm not going to put it on tonight. I'm going to put it...
Alright, it's 9 something in the morning.
Our boat was 15 guys just came out of here. As soon as that boat came out, the bottom part just dropped right down. Hopefully that's going to help me get out the rest of the top boat part. We can finally pull the track bar. Next on the list is room. They would catch the boat from the track bar over here. Like that, most of the time the rest of them are just spinning around. Have your hands open if you try to hold it by hand. Anyway, on this side, big giant boat, is a 13. On the inside, it's going to be a 15. That's both until I think I move to the coil springs. So you can remove lower control arm and come out easier. So use a coil spring compressor to let the axle droop, and I basically just pull this out by hand. There's a little nut right here, and on this side. You know, with that spring compressor, you got to decide where you're going to be able to reach that nut to let it go, because you don't want to do a quarter return with the wrench every single time, because you can't use the impact wrench on it. I'm going to have lunch. I'm going to take out the sway bar first this time. I'm going to take out the spring and put on the new spring. And it's lunch. Alright, for the sway bar. On the top, it's a couple 19s, a 19 in the back and a 19 in the front. And since they reversed the bolt for the bottom, it's going to be a 15 on the front and a 19 on the back side. Alright, on the spring, this is what I was talking about. You can just pull it out like that. On the bottom part here, this comes out, there's going to be that little bump. You want to make sure it goes in that same hole. Alright, spring compressor. It's got these little guys, you're just going to push the pins out. Put them over a spring. Do the same thing on the compressors, guys. Just keep them opposite of each other. One thing I found out though, my bolt, when I'm tightening it, started to go past my spring, which means there's no way I'm going to stick it back on the truck, so I'm going to have to take these off and put them further in closer to the middle so the bolts don't stick past the spring and make it longer than it should be. Alright, got in a little bit of a bad situation here. You can see the bow in the spring. Both my spring compressors, one of them slid around and ended up on the other side. It's only got one side that's being compressed, but you know, just deal with it and get the spring compressors off. Alright, for the shocks, this is a front shock because it's still on the front. It's going to cut that open. It's going to go up on the bottom. These things should be flat to fit on there, so I'm just going to spin them with the wrench. On the top, I have some parts we talked about before. We're going to put a washer or bushing, and on the inside, on the top, we're going to put a washer and bushing on the top ones. It says just tighten this part, just enough to make the little bushings compress. There's a bump out. We're going to put that on the washer down. Slide this guy over. Slide this guy down. Put our nut back on. Alright, in the kit I got, there was only one nut. It says just tighten that just enough to make those bushings squish. I don't know if I'm going to get that other nut on there. And don't forget this little black thing, whatever that was, it's going to sit on top of that bolt after you tighten the nut. Alright, so we're going to put the bottom part here. It doesn't really fit in there anymore. It's just going to take a little finessing to get it in there. For this part here, if it doesn't align, you can just move this up really easy by hand. You can just push up this bar. These guys, we're going to torque them to 78 pounds. We're just going to slap in some bolts. My mistake. Here's the other side that went in easy where you could just lift up this bar by hand. This one I had to beat the thing with the hammer. Alright, install track bar. This side here is going to be the passenger side. Side with the shiny bolt. It's going to be the driver's side. This little bin is going to face down like it is down. Pin on the bottom. Torque that after we put the top in. For the side, that's an adjustable bolt. If it doesn't line up for you, just going to open this up or tighten it up a little bit to make it line up with the holes on your bolt. In case you're wondering about all of those control arm bolts, I never tighten back up. What the directions say, guys, is to jack up the rear and finish up the rear before you come back and tighten up all the control arm bolts. Block your tires when you're jacking up the front. These are the blocked rears. Now we're going to jack up the back. Got my logs under the front. And what's up next is we're going to remove the shocks. It's like 2 bolts. Yeah. Got 19 on the front, a 15 on the back nut up top. It's a 15 up there. I'm guessing there's no backside. I'm sorry, Jack's holding the car off. Take out the sway bar. Alright, one other thing that's been going on here. Make little notes with the bolt back.
The sway bar is 19 on the back, 15 on the front. Same thing for the top 2 bolts.
tear it apart, because if I need someone with a real garage to fix it, I'm going to have to be able to put it back together and drive it down to that shop. So, done for the night, just going to let it soak with a ton of this stuff for tomorrow, and see if I can get it off tomorrow or not. Makes no difference to me, and if it does someday after it's driving again, I'll have some guy spot welding that on there for me, but for now, need to get the bolt off. I had to find up the grinder, cut the end of that bolt off. I got just enough left on that, where I can just put some
threads into the bottom of that. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Some video I watched said make sure your steering wheel is centered when you did some stuff for the front end. I don't remember where I saw it or what thing to do it, but my steering wheel's turning to the right, my wheels are turning to the left. You know, I might have to take some of the parts off on the front to get that working again when I tighten the control arms to get the front off the ground again. Then I gotta go find that video to find out what's supposed to be loose to center your steering wheel. Anyway, center your steering wheel. Find out when to do it. Otherwise you'll be turning right when the truck's turning left. Yeah, just drive backwards, it'll work out.
I'll take it off and loosen them on both sides. Like the front, I had to compress the old coil springs just to get them off the car. There's going to be a spot on the bottom spring here. Right over here, where this part of your spring. It's going to sit against on the top. There's really nothing up there. So, I'm going to finish this spring, compress the new spring, and stick it on there and move on to the shocks and sway bars. And install the rear shocks. Guys, you don't want to cut this string until after you get it bolted here, and you get it bolted there. What they say to do is jack up the axle to get up there, because if you cut that string, and torque them down. Alright guys, you're going to put your car on 4 jacks. Or your Jeep, as I should say. It's going to be under the axles, front and back. Nothing's holding it up but the jack stands. Got a little safety kit on the front. Haven't done it on the back yet with the 4 jack under the axle. What you're going to do is go back and torque all those control arms and things that you loosened, and it said don't tighten them yet. But no idea what the hell's going to happen to it. Out here it's freaking cold. It's only about an hour left of daylight left to go, so I'm not going to put it on tonight. I'm going to put it on tomorrow.